I like to call this one, Welcome to Clown World. Get this. To keep illegal migrants occupied whilst they're waiting for asylum claims to be processed, illegal migrants who have come here via boat are being offered crazy golf trips to the circus and thousands of pounds of Amazon vouchers. The Home Office are not clowning around here, are they? And guess who's picking up the tab? The hard-working, heavily taxed British public, mostly made up of working people, the people they claimed that they would protect, although, to be fair, Keir Starmer didn't really appear to have pinned down the definition of what a working people or working person is, a bit like when he struggled to define a woman.
What is a working person?
Well, a working person...
Simon Cowell?
Well, a working person is someone who works their living...
I've got that.
And uses our public services. The person I have in mind,
Simon Cowell.
The person I have in my mind, Nick, when I say working people, is people who earn their living, rely on our services, and don't really have the ability to write a cheque when they get into trouble. So, the sort of people I'm meeting pretty well every day now.
Welcome to Clown World. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. Where cash-strapped councils across this country are funding crazy golf trips, tickets to the circus, and handing out thousands so boat migrants can feel welcome. Why are we paying for this? This week, Sir Keir Starmer had a love-in with French President Emmanuel Macron.
You, Mr. Prime Minister, dear Keir, my friend.
It was a bit different to his entrance the other week when his wife gave him a slap. If you're listening on radio, cast your mind back. It's etched in my mind. It's probably etched in yours. Oh, there it goes. Yes, I think she's forgiven him now, although he deserved one of those for addressing the British public in French, even though he speaks fluent English.
Qui est que le problème, c'était l'Europe. Simplement, en laissant un vide juridique, le problème, c'est devenu le Brexit. Et avec votre gouvernement, nous sommes pragmatiques et nous apportons, pour la première fois depuis 9 ans, une réponse.
Understood that bit there. I think he said the problem is Brexit. Anyway, since their ridiculous one-in, one-out illegal migrant for asylum seeker plan, which would see only 6% of those who cross illegally up for deportation, over 1,200 have crossed the Channel via small boat. Of course they have.
So far this year, we've seen record ever numbers of illegal immigrants crossing the English Channel, the highest number in history so far this year. And I'm afraid this so-called deal, this gimmick last week, is going to make no difference to that whatsoever.
Yes, because why would an illegal boat migrant want to stay in a tent in Calais when they can travel via dinghy halfway, be ferried by the RNLI to ensure they arrive safely in the UK, be given a decent roof over their heads, a new phone and SIM after they've thrown theirs overboard so there's no link to smugglers and indeed where they've really come from, and be offered crazy golf and trips to the circus and vouchers to buy what they want? The Home Office aren't clowning around, are they? As a hard-working British taxpayer, I haven't got time to play crazy golf, and as for having spare money to visit attractions, I'm too busy working trying to keep my family's head above water under the super-high taxes of Sir Keir Starmer's government. The main offending councils are Doncaster, Kent and Nottingham. The latter declared itself bankrupt in 2023. It has since recovered, but that is our money. The lavish spending was actually unearthed by Nigel Farage's new efficiency audit of councils, which also included thousands of pounds spent on gift cards, purchases from Currys and Argos, and takeaways. The audit showed that Kent Council spent £162,077. That was from the council's social fund to Amazon, including 2,966 transactions related to asylum seekers. £11,521 was spent at Currys, £70,056 at Argos, and £12,328 with voucher line gift cards, all paid from migrant-related budgets, which the council then then claimed back from central government. And that is only some of the spending. The other councils were just as bad, with Nottinghamshire spending £38,007 on McDonald's and £7,143 on Domino's. The list goes on. There is no way we will stop the boats if we don't address the pull factors. This situation is partly of our own making. Yes, we need the cooperation of the French, but it's time for our government to close down Clown World for good.
Do you want to save a boatload of cash this summer, wherever you have a trip planned? The one thing you're going to need is access to the internet and on the go. And you can do that easily with Saily. Hit the link in the description to get 15% of your first eSIM plan ready for your trip, so you can browse to your heart's content. Saily gets you a local SIM card you can use when traveling, so you don't have to pay those crazy roaming fees just to send a message or check the latest news. Now, they've got plans in over 160 countries, 8 regions, so pretty much everywhere, wherever you're going, they'll be able to make sure you're connected. So how does it work? All you've got to do is this. Hit the link in the description to download the app. It will work on iOS or Android. Buy a plan. You can choose an amount of data and time frame that suits you best. And then just install the eSIM on your phone. When you land at your holiday destination, you can activate your plan instantly. And if that wasn't enough, Saily eSIMs only ever have to be installed once. So when you go on your next trip, you just buy a plan for a new country, turn that eSIM back on, and boom, you're back watching me on GBNews. I'll be using a Saily SIM on my next holiday because it's actually faster than some of the hotel Wi-Fis. You can get unlimited data if you want, so you can scroll away to your heart's content. And when you leave the hotel, you don't have to do that annoying thing of Wi-Fi hopping because you've got constant connectivity wherever you go. And they've got 24/7 support as well, and a full refund policy if your eSIM isn't compatible. So get sorted for your next trip. Download Saily using the link in the description below. And if you use the code NEWS at checkout, you'll get an exclusive 15% discount on us. So click the link, download Saily, and use the code NEWS at checkout.
So before we get stuck into the debate, here's what else is coming up today. Experts have warned Sir Keir Starmer as one in, one out migrant deal with France will fuel a surge in hidden illegal migration. That is as GBNews can reveal that more than 1,200 small boat migrants have crossed the channel since the deal was signed. Then, for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, do you believe that anti-Semitism is being normalised in Britain? A government-backed report was found that Jewish people in the UK are suffering increasing prejudice. Then, in the second Great British Debate of the hour, should Labour scrap their net zero drive? Sir Keir Starmer intends to spend millions on electric car handouts, and now it seems his own MPs have finally had enough. And, of course, in our royal roundup, King Charles and Prince Harry's senior aides have reportedly held a secret peace summit, marking the first significant move to resolving their highly publicised family feud. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss that. All of that is on the way. As ever, send me your thoughts, post your comments, gbnews.com/your say. So I'm joined now by Labour commentator Sebastian Selleck. Sebastian, am I totally wrong? Am I totally out of order? What are your thoughts?
Where do you want to start? Talking about migrants crossing the channel or refugee children? What do you want to tackle
Well,
first?
it's not all refugee children. Some of the money spent was for refugee children, that is true. But some of it was also spent on other things, the adults and those between 18 to 25. So it's not just children. You know, let's be clear here. Not all of the spending was for children. Okay.
No, and there's a very good reason for that, which, and do you know what? I completely agree that if I read that headline and I only saw that headline, I would feel really angry as well. And I think the article didn't do a very good job of explaining exactly what's going on here. The reality is, if you are a child and you escape, for example, the Taliban in Afghanistan or some African countries where you're at risk of becoming a child soldier, you're on your own, you don't have any parents, and you come to Britain and you end up here. What happens is you go into the care system and you're in the care system with everybody else who grew up here, who also doesn't have parents and needs that care from the state and from local authorities. And what you get then is experiences that any other child would have. And it is things like playing crazy golf and going to the circus, which can we really begrudge them that? They're not luxuries.
No. I think you say that, but a lot of children can't afford to play crazy golf or go to the circus. What we're providing as somebody who comes as refugees is just the bare minimum, enough for them to live as would be. But we're not here to luxuriate the whole experience. And as for, I think it's important not to dismiss the fact that a lot of this is spending for adults as well. It's not just children. Of course, we need to help the children, but let's be truthful about the spending.
Yeah, let's tackle the adults point. So what happens then is after 18, you become a care leaver, and you're a care leaver between 18 and 25. And the state then has an obligation to look after you and make sure that you transition into adult life safely. And so the people who are getting money from the council are those care leavers. And it's stuff like making sure that they have furniture in the home they move into and getting them on the right foot as they go through adult life. The reason that happens, as well as the moral argument that it's the right thing to do for these young people who've been through really difficult upbringings, whether they're British care leavers or they've come from elsewhere, is to do with making sure that they are healthy, happy and contributing members of society. Because if they're not, remember, they're really, really vulnerable. And that means they risk falling into crime, falling into exploitation. And these are things that hurt all of us. So the more we can do to stop that and to prevent that, the more we can prevent that crime from happening later on.
Yeah,
it's not just the right thing to do, it's also the key thing.
One of the biggest offenders for this were Kent Council, and a lot of their money wasn't necessarily for young people. You see, this is the problem, isn't it? There's so much on offer. There's no standard way as to how these people will be treated. And in the end, what happens is councils seem to be spending money willy-nilly on people, not just young children and young people. And we do accept that when it comes to very young children, of course, they have to be supported. Although why their parents would put them on a boat for a dangerous crossing on their own is just beyond me. But let's be honest here, Kent Council in particular, a lot of this was on adults, not just 18 to 25s.
Just to be really clear, this is either children or care leavers who are 18 to 25. There's nothing that I'm seeing that suggests that they are adults. You also say, why did their parents put them on a boat? Quite often, these are children who, whether they've grown up in war-torn countries or other areas of conflict, their parents are dead. They have nothing else to do, and they are at extreme risk themselves, and that's why they're doing that. It's the only reason you would, as a young person, as a child, leave your country and come to Britain. It's really not a pleasant thing to do.
And you do realise that many of them lie about their age, so some of them aren't really as young as they say they are. You know that, don't you?
We don't know, but we
we do know that. We do know that. Many asylum seekers say that they're a certain age when they're not, so they get treated as children. So there's a proportion of those people who aren't really the age they are. And we're not allowed to do any sort of checking, or real checking now, because I think the Labour government stopped that when they came in.
Can you explain how they stopped that?
Well, we were able to do more checking, weren't we, with people, so to check that they were the right age. And now, of course, we're not allowed to do any of that.
But just to be specific, what changed to make those checks stop?
Well, was there not some policy that came out? I'll have to check. I'll ask my producer to give me the exact details, and I'll bring you those exact details. But no, I am sure about it. No, I am sure about it. I am sure about it, and I will bring you that. But yes, that was changed. So there are other scientific checks. So there's a whole thing where we do scientific checks to ensure that somebody's a certain age, and that's the problem.
But we're not sure what the law was.
Well, like I said, I'll come back to that. I will find that for you.
But you're sure?
Oh, well, I am 100% sure, yeah. So I'll come back to that. But the bottom line is this. We are spending a lot of money on asylum. We are giving a huge... This is like a big pull factor for many people crossing the channel, and something needs to be done. Do you think that this is do you think that this country can carry on in this way?
In what way, sorry?
Well, do you think that this country can carry on supporting an asylum system in this manner? Because we had yesterday, we know that over 1,200 people arrived here via a small boat. So obviously the British taxpayer is going to be paying for that. Do you think that the way things are set, that we can carry on in this way?
Well, the way that things are going is already changing in a number of ways. So, we had the deal the other day, and we won't get into too much detail on that because I'm sure you talked about that a lot. But there's a lot that Labour's done over the last year that I don't think is getting the coverage. If you look at the immigration backlog, for example, that's fallen by 8%. This is the issue that the Tories changed the law to tie their own hands so they couldn't process them. They just started piling up and up and up. Labour changed that law as soon as they come in, and that's one thing that we can be really sure about. And the rate of processing has more than doubled. So this is a very important thing that we're seeing change very quickly. We're also becoming much less reliant on overseas workers. The number of skilled worker visas that were granted has fallen by 60% since 2024. And that is partly to do with the last government, but it's continuing through to this one. And we're seeing Labour tighten up the rules as well. We saw some plans come out, I think it was last week, where the Home Office is saying to certain industries that if you can't prove that you have a plan to train homegrown workers, we're going to stop you from hiring abroad. And that is the kind of shift we need to see to make sure that young people in this country are getting a chance, and we're not seeing employers get addicted to foreign labour as they consistently are.
I mean, look, I don't know. What would you say would be the solution to this then?
I don't think there's one big solution. I think there are lots of little solutions. And that's why I was encouraged by the deal last week. I think it's completely fair to say, it's one in, one out, but it's only going to capture a very small part of the migrants. But that's the point. It's a pilot. And I think the big thing to do here is to be open to trying new ideas. Not all of them are going to work, but the ones that do work, you can scale up. So, for example, if the deal that we struck with France last week works, and we can scale that up, that's going to be a really effective part of the solution. There's no silver bullet, but it's about lots of different things. And what we're seeing from this government is a real willingness to try to be inventive, to be innovative. And then hopefully some things will pay off. But it will be lots of different solutions rather than one big answer.
Listen, so Sebastian, I have done a little bit to come back to you specifically on that age thing. So what it was the Tory government were going to bring in scientific age testing to ensure that migrants were actually the age they are. And that was that was the policy I was talking about. And then the Labour government came in and didn't take that up. So that was the plan, scientific age testing to ensure that the asylum seeker is the age that they are, that they say they are. Because obviously it is in some of their interests to say that they are younger than they really are, especially given the wonderful benefits that you get in particular when you're young. So that is the specific, that is what I was talking about, Sebastian.
Yeah, I hear that argument a lot. Oh, the Tories were about to do this. They were going to do this.
No, they were. No. It was. Listen, I was working for GBNews. They were talking about it. There was a whole thing about the fact that people were lying about their age, and the Conservative government were going to bring that in to ensure that people were definitely the age that they say they are. And what happened, of course, when the Labour government came in, they dropped that notion. So there's no way of compulsorily testing someone's age if they say they're a certain age, which means that somebody who is 30 can say they're 13 and then end up beside somebody who is a teenager. And that is, we've seen something like that happening. So that's the point I'm making.
Sure. How do you test someone's age out of interest?
Well, listen, I'm not a scientist, but it's MRI scans, all sorts of things. So I'm not a scientist, I don't know, but they had scientific ways of doing that, you know. Okay. But yeah, there's lots of ways of doing it. You've never come across it? Well, there is such a thing. There is such a thing. All right, thank you very much, Sebastian. Really good to talk to you. Lovely to talk to you. All right. Yeah, he didn't like that, did he? All right, this is Labour commentator. No, I appreciate him coming on. It's important that he challenges me as well. Right, so Kent Council said most of the spending highlighted was for unaccompanied asylum seeker children or asylum seekers aged between 18 and 25 who have left the care system but to remain the responsibility of the council, known as care leavers, while Doncaster and Nottingham Council say that the spending relates to children in care.